It was a warm Saturday morning in late spring when my girlfriend and I decided to check out a few local yard sales. We had just moved into a small, quiet neighborhood on the edge of town, a place with friendly neighbors, tall oak trees lining the streets, and the kind of silence at night that felt comforting. We weren't looking for anything special, just thought it'd be a fun way to kill time and maybe grab some cheap decorations for the new house. Our place still smelled like fresh paint and cardboard boxes. We hadn't even finished unpacking yet, but it already felt like home. The living room had sunlight pouring in through sheer curtains, a soft breeze floating in through the open windows, and the faint scent of coffee from the pot I'd just brewed. It was peaceful, normal. I remember laughing at how excited she got over a chipped ceramic owl at the first sale we stopped at. People smiled at us as we browsed through tables filled with old books, picture frames, dusty VHS tapes, and vintage kitchenware. It was one of those mornings where everything feels light, simple, and easy. Neither of us had any idea that something as ordinary as a yard sale could lead to something so wrong. But that was before we found the mirror. We found the mirror at a small yard sale on a quiet side street. It was leaning against a rusty table, half covered by a thin sheet of cloth. I didn't even notice it at first, but my girlfriend tugged my arm and pointed. "Look at that," she whispered, almost like she didn't want to say it too loud. The mirror was tall, with a heavy, dark wooden frame carved with twisting vine-like patterns. The glass had this odd shimmer to it, almost like water, like it moved slightly when you weren't staring directly at it. It looked antique, maybe handmade, definitely old. The older woman running the sale didn't say much about it, just that it had been in the family a long time. She sold it for $10. We brought it home and placed it in the hallway across from our bedroom. That night, as I passed it brushing my teeth, I felt like something in it moved, just a second too late. Like my reflection lagged for a blink. I told myself I was tired. Then, little things started happening. A soft creaking sound in the hallway even when no one was walking. The mirror would fog up slightly, like someone had breathed on it. Once, I thought I heard a whisper, just a word, maybe my name. But when I turned around, the house was still. I began waking up around 3 a.m. almost every night. No dreams, just awake. The air felt heavier during those hours, and I found myself glancing at the mirror from bed even though I couldn't see it from that angle. It was like I could feel it watching. A few mornings later, I noticed something strange. A small scratch on the wood frame that hadn't been there before. Then another the next day. They looked almost like letters, but not quite. We didn't own anything sharp enough to mark that thick wood, and we definitely hadn't touched it. My girlfriend didn't seem too bothered. She said I was just stressed from the move. Maybe I was, but something felt off in the house. It wasn't just the mirror anymore. The lights flickered once or twice a day. The hallway always seemed colder than the rest of the rooms. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just new house jitters. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Something had changed the day we brought that mirror home. It happened 3 nights ago. I woke up again, 3:12 a.m. I know because I looked at the clock the second my eyes opened. But this time, the house wasn't silent. There was a faint scratching, like nails dragging slowly across wood, coming from the hallway. I held my breath, trying to listen. The sound stopped. Then a soft knock. Just one. On the wall near the mirror. I sat up, heart pounding in my chest. The air felt ice cold. My girlfriend was still asleep beside me, completely still. I called her name. Quiet at first, then louder. She didn't respond. I shook her. Nothing. Her eyes were open. Wide open. But blank. Unblinking. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and swung open the bedroom door. The hallway was empty, but the mirror was fogged over, but not from the top, from the inside. Then I saw it. A shape, standing just behind my reflection. Not moving, not breathing, just there. Tall, shadowy, its head tilted, like it was studying me. I slammed the bedroom door shut and locked it. My girlfriend still wasn't responding. I was shaking, sweating, whispering to myself, "What the hell is happening?" I checked all the windows. Locked. The doors. Locked. I even pushed furniture in front of the bedroom door. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't even know what I was afraid of exactly, just that whatever it was in that mirror. When morning finally came, she blinked like she had just woken up, said she didn't remember anything. She thought I had imagined it, but I know what I saw, and it's still in there, watching, waiting. The next night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the closed door, gripping a flashlight like it was a weapon. My girlfriend was asleep again, deep, moving sleep. I didn't understand it, but I couldn't leave her alone with that thing in the house. At 3 a.m. on the dot, the mirror cracked. Not loudly, just a small, sharp sound, like a whisper being sliced in half. I opened the bedroom door slowly, flashlight shaking in my hand. But the hallway was dark. It had changed. Still, the glass was no longer a reflection. It was a window into a place that didn't belong here. Black trees with no leaves, ash falling from a sky that didn't look like any sky I'd ever seen. And standing at the edge of it was me. My face, my body, my clothes. But it wasn't me. It smiled too wide, too wrong, and raised one hand. Behind it, more figures began to move, pale and jerky like broken marionettes. I stepped back, heart hammering, but my feet wouldn't obey. The mirror began to hum, low and deep, vibrating through the floor. The figures moved faster, closer. Suddenly, the fake me lunged forward, straight through the glass like water. It came out screaming, a sound that wasn't human. I slammed the door, locked it, pulled my girlfriend off the bed and into my arms, shouting her name until she finally gasped, blinking like she was coming back to life. The thing was clawing at the door, not trying to break it, trying to get in. And it had my face. We got rid of the mirror the next morning. I didn't care how. I just wanted it gone. I drove it out to an old service road by the woods and left it face down in a ditch. I didn't look into it. I didn't touch the glass. I didn't even stop the car fully. When I got home, the house felt quieter. Normal even. My girlfriend seemed more herself. She smiled again. Laughed at breakfast. For a while, I let myself believe we were safe. That it was over. But it wasn't. That night, I found dirt on the hallway floor. Just a small trail of black dust, like ash. It led from the empty spot where the mirror used to be, all the way to our bedroom door. The next night, my girlfriend woke me up in the dark. She was crying. Said she saw me standing in the hallway. Not with her, in the mirror, staring at her from the reflection behind the bedroom door. She said I didn't blink. Sometimes now I catch glimpses. Not in mirrors, but in windows, storefront glass, even puddles. Just shadows. A flicker of movement that stops the second I turn. I tried to tell myself it was just trauma, that I'm seeing things because I want to believe something followed us. But deep down, I know that mirror wasn't just a doorway. It was an invitation, and something walked through. The mirror's gone, but I still feel it. Watching, waiting, and sometimes, late at night, I wonder if I ever really came back. I've always liked weird old stuff. Not in a collector's way, just small things with stories behind them. So when I spotted a yard sale on the edge of an old farm road one afternoon, I pulled over without thinking. It was a dusty setup outside a weathered two-story farmhouse, the kind with creaky screen doors and a broken wind chime barely hanging from the porch. Two older folks ran the sale, quiet, polite, maybe in their 70s. Tables were spread out across the patchy front lawn, covered in vintage tools, faded toys, cracked dishes, and old books. The air smelled like dried grass and something faintly sweet, like rotting fruit. Most of it looked like junk, but then I saw the box. It was a plain cardboard shoe box tucked beneath a folding table, almost hidden. No label, no price. Curiosity got the better of me. I knelt down and opened it. Inside was a small porcelain doll. Pale skin, black glassy eyes, and a chipped mouth that looked like it had once smiled. Its dress was old lace, yellowed with time. Something about it felt off. I asked the old woman how much. She just looked at me and said, "You can have it. She's been waiting for someone." I laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. Looking back, I should have left that box right where I found it, because the moment I brought it home, things started to change. At first, I kept the doll in the box. I wasn't planning to do anything with it, Just thought it was a creepy little piece to maybe add to a bookshelf later. I placed it on the corner of my desk in the spare bedroom and forgot about it. The first night, I heard soft knocking. Very faint, like fingertips tapping on wood. I got out of bed thinking it was just the old pipes. The house is from the 40s, so I didn't think much of it. But the knocking came back the next night. And the next. Then things started moving. Small things. Pens rolling off my desk when the window wasn't open. A glass coaster shifted a few inches across the table when I turned my back. I started telling myself it was just gravity, or I was tired. But then I noticed the box. I hadn't opened it again after bringing it home. But every morning I found the lid just slightly askew. At first, I thought maybe it hadn't been closed all the way. But it kept happening, even after I started taping it shut. One night, while brushing my teeth, I swore I heard giggling behind me. Just a soft, airy laugh. I spun around, heart racing, but nothing was there. Just my own wide-eyed reflection. The worst was when I found the doll outside of the box. I walked into the spare bedroom, and there it was, sitting upright in the middle of the floor. Legs outstretched, hands on its lap, head tilted slightly to the left. I froze. I live alone. No one had been in the house. I checked the locks. Every door. Every window. All still sealed. I put it back in the box, shoved the box into the closet, and told myself I was being paranoid. But the unease never left. The air in that room felt heavier, cold even in summer. And at night, I swore I heard whispers coming from behind the closet door. Every time I got close, they'd stop, like it was waiting for me to listen, like it knew I was afraid, but wanted me to be more. I didn't sleep the night I found the doll outside the box. I left every light in the house on. I even pulled a chair in front of the closet door and jammed it shut with a broom handle like that would actually help. Around 2:30 a.m., I heard movement, slow dragging sounds, coming from inside the closet. I sat up in bed, frozen, heart pounding in my throat. It sounded like something was pacing, back and forth. Then a thud, a tiny one, like something light had fallen. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and walked to the spare room. The light above the closet was flickering. The door hadn't moved, but the chair I jammed against it was on the other side of the room. I don't even remember opening the door, just that the box was now lying sideways, open, empty, no doll. I turned around, scanning the room with my light, until I saw it, sitting on the edge of the guest bed, legs swinging just a little. Its eyes were locked on me. I blinked, and I swear, its head turned slightly more toward me. That was it. I grabbed the doll and ran outside. I didn't care how late it was. I chucked it in the garbage bin out back and slammed the lid shut. When I came back inside, the house felt quieter. Still, I stood in the hallway, trying to catch my breath, but something made my skin crawl. The air behind me turned cold, like someone was right there, breathing softly on the back of my neck. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. All I could think about was what the old woman had said. She's been waiting for someone. But I never thought. It meant me. The next night, I woke up gasping. My room was pitch black, even though I always left the hallway light on. I reached for my lamp. Nothing. No power. Then I heard it. The soft, scratchy sound of porcelain dragging across the wooden floor. Closer. I grabbed my phone and flicked on the flashlight. The beam shook in my trembling hand as I scanned the room. There it was. The doll was standing, in the middle of my bedroom floor. Its small, cracked face tilted up at me. One glass I slightly fogged. Its arms were raised like it wanted to be picked up. I backed away slowly. "No," I whispered, my voice cracking. "No, I threw you away." The closet door behind the doll slammed shut by itself. Then the doll moved. Not like a stumble or fall. It walked. Just a few tiny, jerking steps toward me. I screamed and grabbed a blanket, throwing it over the doll, wrapping it as tight as I could. I didn't think. I just ran. Out the front door, barefoot, into the night. I drove across town and threw the bundle into the river. I stood there, watching the blanket sink slowly beneath the surface. I waited until the water went still. I told myself it was over. But when I got home, wet, shaking, cold, There were muddy footprints on my bedroom floor. Small ones. Leading from the closet to the side of my bed. It's been 2 weeks. I haven't seen the doll again. Haven't heard the whispers. The lights stopped flickering. But I don't feel safe. I can't explain it. This constant pressure in the house. Like the air is heavier now. Like I'm not alone. Even when I lock every door and check the closets 3 times before bed. I haven't told anyone. What would I even say? A doll followed me home from a yard sale and tried to climb into bed with me. No one would believe that. I wouldn't either if I didn't live it. Sometimes I think I see her. In my peripheral vision. Just a flicker of movement near the hallway or at the end of the kitchen counter. But when I turn, there's nothing. And then there are the dreams. Always the same. I'm lying in bed, unable to move. The blanket rises slowly, as if someone is crawling beneath it. Something cold touches my leg. I try to scream, but my mouth won't open. The last thing I see is a tiny face rising from under the covers, cracked, smiling, glass eyes staring straight through me. Then I wake up gasping. Last night, I found a single wet footprint on my pillow. I don't know what I brought home that day, but I don't think it ever wanted to be thrown away. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, when I'm still, I swear I hear that old woman's voice. She's been waiting for someone. And now, she's found them. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon, the kind where the sun hits just right, and everything feels a little slower. I was driving through my old hometown, visiting my parents for the weekend, when I spotted a small handmade sign nailed to a telephone pole. Yard sale, 1 day only. 2 blocks. I had time to kill, so I followed the arrows down a quiet residential street, lined with houses that all looked a little too familiar. The sale was set up in the front yard of a faded blue bungalow with overgrown hedges and a cracked walkway. There were 2 folding tables filled with knickknacks, mismatched mugs, old lamps, VHS tapes, and stacks of dusty books. A younger woman, probably in her 30s, sat in a lawn chair scrolling her phone, barely noticing I was there. I was about to leave when I spotted a worn leather photo album at the bottom of a cardboard box marked free stuff. The album was thick, heavy, and covered in scratches. The latch barely held it closed. I picked it up, flipped through the first few pages. All black and white photos. Families smiling stiffly, children playing in yards, couples standing in front of old cars. It felt intimate, real, like a piece of someone's forgotten life. Something made me take it home. I don't know why, but now I wish I had left it in that box. Because those photos, they started to change. I didn't look at the album again until a few nights later. It had this musty, old paper smell, like something pulled from a basement that hadn't seen sunlight in decades. I laid it on the coffee table and began flipping through the pages more slowly this time. The first few photos were harmless. A young couple standing in front of a 1940s-style house. A boy on a swing set. A family seated around a dinner table, all mid-laughter. But then I saw a photo I didn't remember seeing before. A blurry image of someone standing just outside a window. Half of their face hidden in shadow. No one else was in the frame. It felt wrong. Like it didn't belong with the others. I thought maybe I'd missed it during the first flip-through. But the next night, another new photo appeared. This time, it was a grainy picture of a man standing at the foot of a bed, looking down at someone asleep. The angle was off, as if it had been taken by someone standing in the corner of the room. Again, no one in the background. Just that figure. Still. Watching. I stared at it for a long time. And that's when I realized the furniture in the photo. It looked like mine. The headboard. The lamp. The curtains. They were identical to what I had in my bedroom. I slammed the album shut. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe it was a coincidence. I went back later to check, flipping quickly through every page. That photo. Gone. The next morning, I found the album lying open on my kitchen counter, on a page I hadn't seen before. It showed someone standing in a hallway. My hallway. And in the far corner of the photo was me, asleep on the couch. I hadn't told anyone about the album. I hadn't posted about it. So, how the hell was it taking pictures of me? That night, I didn't sleep. I left every light on, blind shut, album sealed shut, and shoved in a drawer. But no matter how much I tried to forget about it, I couldn't stop thinking about that photo. It wasn't just a photo taken in my house. It was taken from the inside. And the angle, the height, it was from somewhere low. Like knee level. Like someone crouching. Around 2:45 a.m., I heard a soft rustling. Paper, maybe. Coming from the living room. I crept out of bed, holding my breath, listening. It was faint, like someone slowly turning pages. I peeked around the corner. The drawer I had stuffed the album into was wide open. The album was lying flat on the floor, pages fanned out. No wind. No open windows. Nothing that could explain it. I walked toward it slowly, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The moment I bent down, the lamp flickered, and I felt it. Someone behind me. I spun around, a flashlight beam darting across the room. Empty. But when I turned back, the album was open to a new photo. It showed me, crouched in front of the album, exactly as I was just now, except in the background, behind me. A face. Pale. Grinning. Watching. I stumbled back, kicked the album across the floor, and grabbed my keys. I ran to my car barefoot and drove to a friend's house across town. I didn't go back that night, but part of me already knew the album would still be there, and it wasn't done taking pictures. I returned the next morning, just after sunrise. The house was quiet, too quiet. No birds outside, no traffic, just a heavy stillness hanging in the air like fog. I stepped inside, expecting the album to be gone, but it wasn't. It was back on the coffee table, closed, perfectly centered, like it had never moved. I stared at it for a long time, trying to work up the nerve. Then I opened it. The first few pages were the same. Then I saw the new one. It was a photo of me, asleep again. But this time, I wasn't alone. The pale figure was closer now, standing over me, its long arms stretched toward my chest, fingers almost touching. I flipped to the next page. Me, awake, eyes wide, mouth opens in a silent scream. And the thing, inside the bed with me, grinning. I slammed the album shut and tried to rip it in half, but the leather wouldn't tear. The pages felt thick, almost wet. I ran to the backyard, lit the grill, and threw the album into the flames. It didn't burn. The fire licked around the edges, but the photos didn't curl, didn't blacken. It just sat there, absorbing the flames, feeding off them. That night, I heard the sound of a camera shutter clicking. Once, then again, and again. I don't have any cameras in my house, but I think the album does. And now it's taking pictures of what comes next. I moved. I packed what I could fit in my car and left everything else behind. The furniture, the dishes, the album. I don't even remember locking the door. I just drove until the town disappeared in the rear-view mirror. It's been over a month. New apartment. New locks. No mirrors in the bedroom. No framed photos. Just blank walls and empty shelves. I thought distance would fix it. I was wrong. Because 2 nights ago, I got a package. No return address. No markings. Just a small, square box sitting outside my door. I knew what it was before I opened it. The album. No tape. No latch. No dust. Just clean, like it had been waiting. I opened it with shaking hands. The first photo was of me, taken through my window from the street. The next was from the hallway outside my apartment door. The third, from inside. It showed me asleep in bed again, except this time, I wasn't alone. The figure was no longer in the background. It was on the bed, smiling. The last photo wasn't printed. It was developing. Still wet, still gray, but I could already see the shape forming. My face, eyes wide, mouth open. I don't sleep anymore. I just sit in the corner of my room, lights on, eyes fixed on the door, because I don't know when it's going to happen. But I think the album is almost finished, and whatever it's been showing me is about to happen for real. I bought the typewriter on impulse. I wasn't even looking for one. It was a hot afternoon, and I had stopped by a community yard sale outside an old church while waiting for a coffee order nearby. Tables stretched across the lawn, loaded with typical things, baby clothes, glassware, old electronics, and mismatched furniture. And then I saw it. An old black typewriter with round metal keys and chipped red ribbon. It sat alone at the end of the table, slightly rusted but still beautiful in a weird, vintage way. The seller was an old man with a sunken face and quiet voice. He didn't even try to sell it to me. In fact, when I asked how much, he just shrugged and said, "Take it. Doesn't write anything good anymore." I laughed awkwardly and asked what he meant, but he just turned away and pretended to organize a box of tangled cords. Something about that should have been a warning, but I've always liked forgotten things. I thought it would be a cool decoration, maybe even something I could restore and use. So I brought it home, set it on a side table in my office, and forgot about it for a few days. But then, late one night, I woke up to the sound of clicking. Faint, rhythmic, mechanical. It was coming from the office, from the typewriter. And I live alone. At first, I thought I was dreaming. The clicking was soft, steady, like someone typing slowly, deliberately. I grabbed my phone and checked the time. 2:46 a.m. Still groggy. I crept out of bed and down the hallway. The office door was slightly ajar. The sound stopped the second I pushed it open. The typewriter sat on the table, exactly where I'd left it. No paper in the tray. No sign it had moved. I chalked it up to the house settling, or maybe my overactive imagination, but something felt off. The air in the room was colder than the rest of the house, and the faint smell of ink, thick and metallic, lingered in the air. The next morning, I found a single sheet of paper rolled into the machine. I hadn't touched it since I brought it home. There were just 5 words, typed cleanly in the center. "I am still in here." I stared at it for a long time, trying to understand the joke. Maybe the old man had left it as a prank, a final scare for whoever took the thing home. That had to be it. I pulled the paper out, tossed it, and forgot about it. Until the next night. Same time. Same clicking. But this time, I rushed to the room faster. The keys were moving. Slowly. Pressing down one by one, as if someone invisible was typing. I froze. The paper slid slightly upward with each stroke. I turned on the light. The typing stopped instantly. I stepped closer. There was a new sentence on the page. "Don't turn the light on." I backed out of the room, heart racing, and slammed the door. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch with every light in the house turned on, trying to make sense of it. The next morning, another note waited for me on a fresh sheet. "Let me finish." That's when I realized this wasn't a joke. This thing wasn't haunted like in the movies. It was writing something. And I had no idea how long it had been trying to finish. Over the next few nights, it kept typing. Always between 2:30 and 3 a.m. Always when the house was dark and quiet. I stopped turning on the light. I don't know why, fear maybe, or curiosity. The typewriter would begin slowly, one key at a time, building lines of text like it had waited all day to speak. The sentences got longer, stranger. He opened the door, but the room was empty. She thought she lived alone. The thing behind him knew his name. It wasn't random. It was writing a story about me. Details started matching my life, my apartment layout, the time I brushed my teeth, what I had for dinner. I even tested it. One night I walked in, stared directly at the keys, and whispered, "Go ahead, write." It paused for a second, then typed. He shouldn't have done that. I slammed the cover shut and pulled the plug from the wall. But the next night, it typed anyway. Unplugged. No power. And this time, it typed something else. "You're not writing the ending." That line kept playing in my head, over and over, like a warning, like a threat. I started feeling watched. In the shower, in the hallway. Even when I left the apartment, I felt something waiting for me when I came back. One morning, I woke up with ink smudges on my fingertips. I hadn't touched the thing in days, but it had been touched, because a new page sat in the tray, freshly typed, and at the bottom, beneath the final line, was my name. That night I made a choice. I was going to destroy the damn thing. I didn't care what it was or what it wanted. I just knew I couldn't let it keep writing. I dragged the typewriter outside to the alley behind my building, carrying it like it weighed 100 pounds. I found a hammer in my storage unit and stood over it, heart pounding, breath tight in my chest. "I'm done," I said aloud. You don't get to finish. I raised the hammer. And then it typed. No power. No paper. Just click, 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 as if the keys were slamming down on air. I'm already done. I froze. The carriage shifted. Slowly. Back and forth. The metal arms twitched. And then it began typing faster than I'd ever seen. Keys blurring. Slamming themselves down over and over. Sparks flying from the ribbon drum. It wasn't just a story anymore. It was everything. My thoughts. My movements. Word by word, second by second. He raised the hammer. He hesitated. He dropped it. And I did. I didn't mean to. My fingers just let go. The hammer hit the ground. The typewriter stopped. Then, one final line typed out slowly, painfully, each key dragging like it was sinking into something wet. He let me finish. I stumbled backward, heart racing, and ran inside without looking back. But that was 3 nights ago. And now it started again. Not from the typewriter, but from my laptop. At first, I thought it was a glitch. A stuck key. Maybe my fingers brushed something. But no, my hands weren't even on the keyboard. And yet, the screen filled with words. Chapter 2. It's still writing. Every night at the same time, 2:46 a.m. The same cold air. The same mechanical rhythm. Only now, the keys aren't clacking, they're silent. Just digital letters. Quiet. Smooth. But the words are still about me. What I ate. What I wore. The sound of my breathing. The story's more detailed now. It writes scenes from my childhood. Things I forgot. Things I never told anyone. And then, things that haven't happened yet. He won't see the shadow in the mirror. He won't hear the knock until it's already inside. He won't make it to chapter 3. I tried deleting the file. It reappears. I tried smashing the laptop. The next day, it was sitting on the kitchen table, screen open, glowing. Still typing. I stopped going to work. Stopped leaving the apartment. I don't sleep. I just sit here, watching it write the next part of my life, before it happens. And now it's typing something new. A countdown. 3 nights left. 2. It hasn't hit 0 yet. But I think when it does, I'll be gone. And someone else will find a typewriter at a yard sale. Or maybe a laptop. Or a notebook. Whatever it chooses. Because it's not about the machine. It's about the story. And it always finishes the story.